Hey, my name's Amanda Winalda. I'm executive attorney at Anderson Business Advisors, and we're at day one of our tax and asset protection event live in San Diego. I'm here with Jules. Jules is from National Real Estate Insurance Group, or NREG for short. Am I saying that correctly?
That's correct. NREG for short.
All right. And so tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
Okay, so we are the solution based insurance for investors. We look to invest to properly insure your investment properties. A lot of the time, investors' properties are not properly insured. So they'll be insured as a homeowner's policy, but they're actually a landlord, and or they'll have $500,000 in liability insurance and they should have 2 million. So then they'll have a umbrella policy and all these other things when they could just simply have the right kind of liability coverage for their home. So we are national, meaning we are in all 50 states, and we insure with 15 carriers on master policies.
All right. And so I work in land trusts and deeds. We transfer a lot of property into land trusts. Go over how to properly insure a rental in a land trust.
To properly insure a rental in a land trust, we want to use whoever is on the deed, whatever name is on the deed, and that is going to be the named insured. We don't want to have whoever the person is that's a benefactor of that land trust to be the person that's on that insurance policy, because that would not be proper. So whatever the person is or the entity is that's on that deed ensures that the carrier doesn't have any reason to deny a claim. So we don't ever want that. We want no reason for an insurance company to deny a claim.
Okay, so if your property is titled directly in your LLC, that LLC should be the insured. If it's directly in the land trust, that land trust should be the insured. Are we adding anyone or any other entity as a secondary insured?
Well, that depends. If we have a land trust, I don't want to have an additional named insured as that person, because then that can open them up to liability in the future. So we want to make sure that if you're doing your asset protection, we want to properly make sure that, and if you're the benefactor of that already, then you're going to be the benefactor of the insurance policy as well. So we don't want to have any reason for somebody to be able to come along and say, pierce the corporate veil or something like that. And so what we're going to do as an investor minded and only company, we only insure investors, is we're going to look out for who your clients, best interests are. So
Well, thank you, because most insurance companies, they seem like they're in for your best interest, but how do they make their money? By not paying out claims. So it's good to know how to properly insure the investments. And so say I have multiple properties, do I need a policy for each one?
you need a policy for each one. We do not recommend having just one policy on all of your properties, because that opens you up to additional liability, or for an attorney to be able to come along and go, oh, so you have these 10 properties. How lovely. Now I'm going to go ahead and go after all of the 10 properties and the umbrella policy. So at National Real Estate Insurance Group, we do not have co-insurance, number one. And number two, we offer 1 million, 2 million aggregate on up. And we do it for each individual property. And then that way, really, ultimately, if you're properly insured, you don't need that umbrella policy in some cases. Maybe on yourself, have that umbrella policy, but you should be well covered if you're covered properly.
And that's such a good point from an asset protection standpoint, because one of the ideas behind it is to convince people to go for maybe the insurance policy limit, because they can't get the payment from you. But if you've got a huge policy that's covering a bunch of properties, one, that insurance policy limit's big, but now they also know you've got deep pockets.
That's right. And so we want you to have deep pockets, but we want you to have an invisibility cloak. So we don't want them to be able to see that. And we want to make sure that you're properly insured from the very beginning and that they have no reason to go looking. We want to make that as difficult for them as possible, so we're taking care of the client.
But you can still quote me for multiple properties. It just won't be on the same one. So how difficult is it to get a quote? Do I have to know what kind of roof I have, when the property was built? What do I need to know and bring to you?
So one of the things, I'm the executive vice president of sales and marketing. And so I've been with NREG for 8 months now. And one of the first things that I did was I changed part of our program and made it so that instead of there being the 66 questions for underwriting, okay, but underwriting is important, and I'll tell you why. So what I did was we changed it. We made it a smaller question, 6 to 10, and then my person will call you on the phone and say, hey, so do any of these policy or any of these homes have knob and tube, and you can say, yes, this property does, this property does. And so we now go through maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes on the phone, but it's better than trying to fill out that entire Excel file. Now, I'm super opinionated when it comes to underwriting, because if an insurance company says to me, no underwriting is necessary, no inspection is necessary, I'm immediately, as somebody who's been doing insurance for 32 years, I'm immediately thinking, well, wait a minute, then how do you know what you're insuring?
The red flags start
All
going
the
up.
red flags go off. And so then what that tells me is you're either going to underinsure me, and I then could be opened up to a co-insurance penalty, or I'm going to be overinsured and I'm paying too much on my premium. And so that's why underwriting is so important. So we did retain the underwriting principle, but we're making it as easy as possible for the client.
That's perfect. That's perfect. All right. So how easy is it to, a problem has happened, it's covered by my insurance. What do I do? How do I file a claim? Is that difficult?
No, we don't want to make anything difficult. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to contact your client service advisor. That person is going to get you over to a client experience person, and then we're going to go from there, and we're going to get that claim filed, and then that client experience person and your CSA are going to stay with you throughout that claims process to make sure that we're making it as easy for you as possible. And if we kind of are the buffer between you and the carrier, because ultimately our job is to work for you as our client. And so we're here to advise, not just to act as an agent, where a lot of the time agents just want to sell that premium, just want to sell that policy.
They're gone.
And then poof, they're gone, and they don't answer their phones. So that's something else, is that we always make sure that we have 40 some odd people in the queue. And so our phones are constantly answered, and you'll get a return phone call within 24 hours.
Okay. And so working in land trusts and deeds, we have a lot of clients in California, Florida, hurricanes, wildfires. There's insurance companies just leaving those states. Do you still insure in those states?
We sure are, because we are the innovator of insurance. So we believe that where everybody else wants to leave, we're going to be the ones that are coming in. So we have lots of capacity in California. Even though there's wildfires, we have lots of capacity in Florida, even though there's a hurricane about to come down on there. But the idea is that where all those companies are running, because they're not thinking about those clients, they're just ditching everyone, we're coming in because we know that that's something that's needed, and we can provide that for you for your asset protection.
Oh, that gives such peace of mind for those investors. So if people want to know more about National Real Estate Insurance Group or NREG, how do they get in touch with you?
So for you guys, they could, I guess, email me directly, Jules, Jules, at NREIG.com. Sorry, stuttering all over the place. Otherwise, you can go on our website. But I would prefer that you come over and get our QR code and go directly through that link, because then that way I can make sure that as an Anderson client that they're being properly taken care of.
And I can tell you from running the land trust and deed department, if we're doing your deed prep, when we send that hard copy to you in the mail, there will be a flyer with that QR code, so you can just quickly scan it and get put in touch with NREG right away. I will say, if you are doing a transfer, the time to reach out to them is now. Don't wait until after the property has been recorded, because what if you don't do it until after the transfer? Then what are the bad things that could happen there?
Oh, I mean, what if somebody falls in a hole and all of a sudden now you have yourself in a liability situation, and it's no longer the person, the entity of the deed that's on that insurance policy? You don't want that, right?
Yeah, your old policy isn't going to be in place because that was under you. The property was under you. Now the property is in a trust, or now the property is in an LLC.
We always want them to come to us ahead of time,
Yeah.
because we're going to take good care of you and make sure that you're taken care of and that you're properly insured.
All right. Thank you so much, Jules.
Thank you.